19 days. That's all Canada has before one presidential signature could reshape billions of dollars in trade. Somewhere in Ottawa, negotiators are preparing for another trip to Washington. Somewhere in Washington, nobody is entirely sure what Donald Trump will do next. One of them changes his mind by the hour. The other hasn't raised his voice once. This is the story of a countdown nobody agreed to start. Let's start with the man who lit the fuse. July 20th. No warning speech, no press conference, just a signature on a legal document most Canadians had never heard of. Section 338 of a tariff law from 1930. 50%. $20 billion of Canadian goods. Wine, cement, dairy, hockey sticks. No expiry date written in. That's the pattern with this presidency. Tariffs arrive like weather. Sudden, unannounced, gone as fast as they came. Or not gone at all. That's exactly what makes this strategy so difficult to answer. Traditional trade negotiations depend on predictability. One side makes a demand, the other makes a concession. But if the demands keep changing, the negotiation itself becomes unstable. Every meeting starts from a different starting line. And just when Ottawa thought it understood the demands, the alcohol boycotts, the dairy protections, the auto rules, Trump went further. 8 days later, on Fox News, a reporter asked him a simple question. Did he even want to save the trade agreement his own administration signed? He said he didn't care, that he'd rather go it alone, that Canada and Mexico need America, not the other way around. Read that again. Not a threat this time, not a deadline, a shrug. The President of the United States shrugging at a $1 trillion relationship, live on camera. That's the thing about negotiating with unpredictability. You can't outplan someone who doesn't know his own next move. Now, picture the other side of this. Mark Carney doesn't do impulsive. He built his career reading central bank data, not headlines. And since the moment Trump signed that order, Carney's public response has been almost eerily controlled. He called the tariffs a direct violation of the USMCA agreement. Not an outrage, not a threat, a legal statement. Cold, precise. Then, quietly, he did what a former central banker does best. He gathered the room. Days before sending his trade minister back to Washington, Carney sat down with every provincial premier in Charlottetown. No dramatic press conference, just a closed-door meeting to make sure Ottawa spoke with one voice before anyone crossed the border to negotiate. That's Carney's whole strategy in one image. While Trump improvises in real time, Carney is trying to remove every variable he can control before he even sits at the table. Carney's challenge isn't simply convincing Trump. It's convincing Canadian businesses, provincial leaders, and investors that his government still has a plan, even when the White House keeps changing the rules. Stability has become part of Canada's negotiating strategy. But Carney isn't the one flying into Washington. That's Dominic LeBlanc. Dominic LeBlanc isn't just another cabinet minister. He's become Ottawa's main channel into Washington, carrying expectations from businesses, provinces, and industries that depend on uninterrupted access to the American market. This week, LeBlanc and Canada's chief negotiator, Janice Charette, walked into their first face-to-face meeting since Trump signed the order. Two Canadian officials sitting across the table from an administration whose boss just told the country he doesn't even want a deal you agree to. Try to imagine that walk into the building. You're negotiating on behalf of 30 million people, and the man who has to sign off on anything you agree to already said on national television that he doesn't care if the whole framework collapses. That's not a negotiation. That's damage control dressed up as diplomacy. And back home, the clock isn't just ticking in government offices. It's ticking on ordinary people. $20 billion in Canadian exports,
About 5% of everything Canada sells to the United States sits directly in the blast radius. Vineyards, dairy farms, factory floors making hockey sticks and cement. Real jobs, real paychecks, waiting to find out if August 19th changes everything. For many companies, uncertainty is almost as damaging as tariffs themselves. Businesses delay investments. Manufacturers hesitate to sign contracts. Exporters wait before hiring. Even if the tariffs never fully arrive, the uncertainty can already cost money.
One trade expert following the talks laid out the danger bluntly. Pressure like this can force a deal, or it can backfire completely, turning Canadians against their own government for negotiating with a bully, making it politically impossible to keep talking at all. That's the trap Carney's calm has to navigate. Move too soft and Canadians say he folded. Move too hard and Trump, already halfway out the door, might just walk away for good. And just when you think you understand the pressure points, there's another one nobody saw coming. Trump has also floated new tariffs over wildfire smoke drifting across the border into American states. Whether those wildfire tariff comments ever become official almost doesn't matter. The real message is that Canada's negotiation team now has to prepare for possibilities that would have sounded absurd only a few years ago.
So here's where this stands, 19 days out. One man who changes his mind before breakfast, holding the pen. One man who spent his whole career keeping his hands steady, holding the phone. And a country full of people who didn't vote for this fight, watching a deadline neither of them fully controls. Will Carney's calm actually work on a president who says he doesn't need a deal at all? Can LeBlanc walk out of Washington with something, anything, before August 19th? History usually remembers trade agreements by the day they're signed, or the day they collapse. August 19th could become one of those dates. Subscribe to North American Scope. Every meeting, every statement, every headline from here could move this countdown one step closer to a deal, or one step closer to a trade war.